Welcome.
I hate that you do that again and you're gonna get.
Hey, well, I already got one of those. I'm wearing a little turtleneck today.
Call it out.
Your girl got hit by a firework.
So this is today we're filming the 10 key things you should know before riding a dirt bike. Great, the trash truck is coming around.
Because is that symbolism for something? Because we're trash.
Speak for yourself.
Well, now that the trash
Now that the
is gone.
trash truck is gone, let's try this again. We're talking about the 10 key things that you should know before riding a dirt bike. So we call these the MCREY riding rules. As much as
You're giving me a look.
As much as we love off-roading and dirt biking, it definitely can be a very dangerous sport, and there are certain things that we feel like anyone who is just getting involved in the sport should be aware of before they hit the trails. And obviously this isn't everything that you should know, but we feel like these are kind of the 10 key things that are super important before hitting the trails.
Agreed.
So number 1, also we should just address
Speaking of safe riding,
this will be covered in point number 5.
Sure.
Yeah, this was a riding accident.
But it could have been worse if you didn't know these rules, man.
Could have been worse.
Right, rule number 1, don't drink and drive, folks.
Yeah, it can be really easy to get carried away while you're at the campsite or stopping for lunch with your friends, especially because the desert has a tendency to feel lawless, but it's really dangerous to be inebriated and riding your dirt bike or UTVing, anything that you're in motion, basically. It's fun to have a beer or two, you stop for lunch, but after that, just save the excessive drinking for when you're back at the campsite, and then just leave your vehicle and park.
I mean, you probably shouldn't excessive drink at all, but
you just imagine like coming up, if you've had more than a few drinks and you're slightly intoxicated and you come up on another vehicle or an unplanned obstacle, your ability to react to that is going to be significantly decreased, which just puts you at a greater risk for injury, and not only just yourself, but your bike or your car, and most importantly, honestly, other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rule number 2, always wear a helmet. Always wear a helmet and just whatever other protective gear makes you feel safe. We definitely
big protective
gals. We wear a lot of protective gear. Sometimes people make fun of us for it because we look like football players, but that's totally fine because I feel safe, and I fell multiple times. This past weekend we went riding for New Year's Eve, and I felt so much safer and more comfortable riding tougher stuff in some rocky sections because I was fully padded and protected.
Yeah, it just gives you the confidence too. I think you need to get over some trickier spots, especially when you start challenging yourself, trying out new things. It just gives you that confidence to be able to go into it knowing that you're still going to be okay. And if the worst thing that happens to you is a jam finger, I think you're doing pretty well. So just anything that makes you feel comfortable and confident while riding, please wear it, and definitely the helmet, whether you think you need it or not, you need it.
You absolutely need it.
And number 3, never, ever ride alone, ever. It's just not smart. You always want to make sure someone's with you. If anything happens, you're not stranded out there. If you somehow fall and become unconscious, you need someone with you. And also if you get lost, it's nice to have someone navigate the area.
Well, yeah, just if something happens to you, you want to make sure that someone's there to either call and get help for you and be able to, tell emergency services where you are, or vice versa, that if someone else falls, you're there for them, or if you need to leave and go get help. Like, we always recommend riding in at least a group, like 3 people, so that way one person can stay with the injured person while one person goes and gets help, but at least ride with a partner. At least make sure there's someone else there that can help you if something happens.
Yep.
So rule number 4, always communicate with the people that you're riding with. So this includes, are you on the same page about what hand signals you're using to either turn or to stop? Usually they're, the standard stop, turn, etc. But also just making sure that you're all on the same page about where you're headed. Are the leaders of the pack going to stop at forks in the road or at major turns and wait for the whole group? That's a really easy way to lose people, especially if there's varying skill levels of riders. And then just the last thing is, speaking up if you're not comfortable doing something, or if you need help getting your bike through a section that you're not comfortable with. We do it all the time. And, you know, if our friends are really great about it, and they'll ask us, like, hey, are you comfortable doing this rocky canyon? How do you feel about it? And, you know, I said, I will do it. I want to try it, but you're probably going to have to help me through it. Mm-hmm. So just make sure that you're riding with a group of people that you can trust and feel safe with. If you don't feel comfortable telling someone that you're not comfortable riding a section, or you're not comfortable asking for help, maybe not the group that you should be riding with.
Just like any relationship, man, communication is key.
Communication is key.
Yeah. Well, going along with number 4, number 5 is ride at your own pace. So again, that just means whatever you feel comfortable riding, just stick to that level. Challenge yourself as much as you feel comfortable doing, or as confidently. Just because you're with a group that may be better than you doesn't mean that you have to keep up with them. Just your safety and your comfortability comes first that's what makes riding fun, you know?
Yeah, Darla. I'm just kidding. I willingly went into the Rocky Canyon.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was it was really hard. But number 6, always carry a phone, GPS, map on you. We recommend a phone GPS service in addition to a map, because what if you don't have service? You can't pull something up, or even better, if you have one of the like emergency devices that can send emergency signals off. Especially when you're in canyons or areas where you don't have service. That's really, really important. It helps you not only navigate where you are, figure out if you made a wrong turn or not, but also, like we've said multiple times, can't emphasize enough, calling for emergency services, calling for help, or medical attention if you need it. And honestly, it sounds super old school, but getting a trail map before you go somewhere, especially if you go somewhere new, like when we ride the Cal City area, like we know which trails connect to which trails. So, you know, it's like if we accidentally took a wrong turn, I would know, oh, we're on trail 12 and that's going to connect to 34 and 20. Or vice versa, whatever.
I know what
But
you mean.
yeah. But it's just knowing like what if there are trail markers or like street names, like which ones you plan to ride and where they all connect, because obviously sometimes you're not stopping every 2 seconds to get your phone out. So even just having a good lay of the land of like which trails go which direction, that can help you.
Number 7 is always carry water. You just do it. Just do it, man. Carry enough water. Even if you're like, I'm just going to be going out for a little bit, a quick ride. You don't know if something will happen to your bike, to you, to someone else. If you get lost, you just never know. And we also recommend even carrying like a snack, like a bar, PB&J, something, because you just never know what could happen, and if maybe someone else will need it that you run into. So super, super important to carry enough water with you. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. McReynolds' family motto.
No. No one says that.
Chief does.
Jokingly. Well, I don't think that.
Freaking turtleneck, dude. I'm never gonna live a normal life.
Number 8 is always check your gas before you head out anywhere. And honestly, just top off your gas. Like, it's, you know, again, going back to what we're saying, you never know how long you're actually going to end up being out on a trail, especially if it's an unplanned adventure, whether you're helping yourself, a friend, someone else that in a totally different group that you come upon that needs help. It's just important to always make sure you have enough gas in your tank. And so the best way to plan for that is to top off your gas anytime that you leave camp. And also in those lines, knowing how much gas your tank holds and how many miles you can get out of that. So, you know, stock tanks are approximately 1.5 gallons. We upgraded ours to desert tanks, so we hold about 3 gallons, which on an average ride gets us about 70-ish miles. Depends what kind of terrain we're riding and, you know, how fast we're going and etc. But usually we know we can go 70 miles and not run out of gas. So, and some people carry gas in water bottles or other, you know, there's obviously special like gas canteens, gas canteens or tanks that you can carry in your backpack if you do get worried that you might run out of gas at some point.
All right, number 9 is routine maintenance. So that's, you know, doing what you need to do to keep up with your bike, making sure everything's running well. It'd be a bummer if you don't do that, and then you get out to the desert and your bike breaks down.
Yeah, so that's like, you know, anything with lubing your chain, checking your oil, cleaning your air filter, basic things.
Yeah.
Obviously, doing more intense maintenance in between rides as well. But if you're not comfortable doing any of that, take it to a professional. Shout out to our friend Mad Jack Racing. If you're in the Southern California area, they could definitely help you out. But just keeping up with your bike, keeping it clean.
Yes,
which is
keeping it clean.
something that I dropped the ball.
Don't look at our bikes right now.
We haven't don't look at our bikes. We haven't washed them since we got back from New Year's. Oh, and another big thing is checking your tire pressure and making sure that you have the right tire pressure for the terrain that you're riding. So we typically run 12 in the front, 10 in the back. That's like an average for some rocky stuff, but like also dirt, a little bit of sand. Like, I feel like that's kind of just like the good middle ground. If you're riding some different terrains, if you're starting to go into super rocky areas, and you're going a little bit faster, you want to bump up your tire pressure. So that way when you hit the rocks, you kind of just bounce off as opposed to like popping a hole in your tire in your tube. So
yeah, and if this all sounds kind of confusing, then just definitely taking it to a professional, asking questions, YouTube. There's definitely a bunch of ways to learn about all of this.
they're like, YouTube, I'm on YouTube.
Well, after this video.
Yeah. And along those lines as well, carrying a toolkit in your backpack, super important. If you aren't carrying one, like if you know someone in your group is carrying one, you don't necessarily have to carry one, but just making sure that someone that you're riding with has some sort of toolkit that can do like basic. I mean, our hand guards broke like 5 times this past weekend, and thankfully one of our friends had the right tools to like adjust them, take them off, whatever else. So just having some, basic tools in your bag just in case something happens either to your bike or, like we've said, you stumble across somebody else who needs help.
Yep.
So last but not least, number 10, look both ways before crossing intersections, always paying attention to your surroundings, especially on really busy weekends when you notice there's a lot of people out there camping. This obviously hits really close to home for us because we lost a family member in a collision at a blind intersection while off-roading. And, you're going fast and you're following a group of people and it's fun to be, sometimes you do lose sight of the fact that like, oh crap, there's other people out here and so many trails crisscross and whatnot. So, just always being aware of your surroundings. If you have the opportunity or the vantage point to kind of like look down a hill or, if you're able to see what's in front of you, kind of just getting a lay of the land of like, okay, I don't see any dust clouds. I don't see any other flags or people out here. So, we should be good to go.
Yeah.
But just look both ways before you cross intersections. Look for dust clouds in front of you. Slow down a little bit. If you're on a blind turn, just slow down a little bit, especially if you aren't good enough to like come to a stop. And like I just say that because I'm like, sometimes
I come in hot.
I come up on something and I'm like, oh shit, and then it's like back brake, and like I just gotta like ditch the bike. So just it may more so than like looking both ways at intersections, just always being aware and conscious of your surroundings. And
if you are in a group, like giving the people in front of you some space too.
Yeah.
Like if they take a spill, you don't want to be too close, especially like it does take me a minute to brake. I'm not like slamming like ooh and I can hop around you. Like I know it takes me a minute, so I'm gonna give that much amount. I especially follow Paige and I always want to give her enough space in case anything happens, or sometimes the sun hits you and then you can't see for a little bit if you're going on certain parts of trails. So it's just really smart to give each other space as well.
Yeah. And with dust being kicked up, rocks being kicked around, I was following Kelly too closely once on a trail and couldn't see and came up on a tree stump that damn it. Like came up on a tree stump that literally came out of nowhere, but it didn't because it was there the whole time. I just couldn't see it because I was in Kelly's dust cloud, and it literally sent me like off the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
So okay,
Shout out to Cal.
Traumatic. I landed in
I mean, you did go off the side. I mean, it wasn't like crazy, but you definitely went off the side of the trail.
Off the side.
And shout out to Cal, he came and got you.
Cal, man, thank you. Just luckily,
although Cal, you blew up my neck, so you're out of it.
Luckily, I landed in pine needles, but
yeah.
But yeah, so just, be really aware.
Don't be afraid of falling behind. Again, like, go at your own pace. Don't, like, just because you're giving that person space, like, don't worry about falling behind. If you're in a good group, everyone will wait for you. but it's more important that you have time to stop or get around something versus trying to just keep up.
So yeah, those are the 10 key things you need to know, the MCREY riding rules. We
don't even follow our own rules. Stay 10 feet away from fireworks.
Unofficial rule number 11. I told you to stay away from fireworks.
That's a different story for a different YouTube. All right. Whoa. Have fun out there, kids.
Peace out.